That's right, I don't work there anymore, Rhonda fucking Smith. I had to explain to many people that your shit fell apart.
Okay, she's gonna get sued. Don't sue Sarah.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the newest edition of Middle-Aged Millennial MILF Podcast. I have a very special in-studio guest. The first in-studio, guys, is Heather. Because Heather needs to be experienced, not just heard. She's the whole, you have to see the whole thing. It wouldn't do you justice if they didn't see your mannerisms and how fun you are. Because also I feel like our dynamic is also best interpersonal.
Yes, that's how it began.
Yes, so
tell again, because I think this is important. There's the MILF, but your MILF has other meanings. Magnanimous, intelligent, something.
Fabulous
at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Laughable, likable, lovable.
I mostly just focus on how men want to fuck me, though. Unfortunately, sorry guys. That's what MILF is always about. All the men that want me. Because that makes me feel better about myself.
I didn't even know what that was until I was in my 50s, and my girlfriend made so much fun of me. She goes, "How do you not know?"
You were a MILF.
Well, I had it said to me, and I didn't understand it, and I just kind of didn't pay any attention to it. And then someone put it up on my Facebook page.
They called you a MILF?
A younger person did.
A male or a female?
It was a male.
Oh my!
In my 50s, and when she was, "How do you not know that, Libba from Kentucky? How do you not know? Did you not watch Dumb and Dumber? How do you not know what that stands for?" And I was like, because I don't. And then I had to get off Facebook. That made me nervous. I don't.
You didn't want those people saying stuff.
I'm nervous. Okay, so we're off. We're off and running. What would you like to know? What can I tell you?
Well, let's start with how we met. Talk about the first time we met. It was my second day.
Okay, at Alexandra Blue, the old Blue that was in front of AJ's.
Yes.
And I remember, Sarah, because I remember it so clearly, it was obvious to me that you really wanted to do a good job. You were really wanting to do a good job. And I have to say, you were sort of quiet and you didn't, and I was like, okay. It, to me, seemed like it took you, and then later when I heard your story, I realized, well, no wonder you were really...
A little traumatized.
Yes. And you were testing the water and you weren't sure how any of this was going to go or how any of us were going to be. But then, boy, when you found your voice, what a party. You were a little bit on the timid side, I would say, the first day, which you're not timid.
No, but
you are not, but you were playing it very close to the vest, and actually that was smart and intelligent on your side. And I just remember thinking, oh, all right, you were hired as a manager. You are still to this day the only one I know of that came in hired as a manager and stayed on as a manager.
Which that feels like a big accomplishment, knowing the history there. That is huge.
It seems to work out better if they come up through our system. I shouldn't say that because M&T has also done it. But she wasn't hired as a manager. She came on as a sales associate and then worked her way up rather quickly. But I think it was just interesting. And I think we were both just trying to see how you were going to be. You wanted to see how I was going to be. What's this going to be like? Am I going to like this job? And you had so much experience. Like, immediately I went, okay, I'm going to train you to the ability that I can because you have so much more retail experience than I do.
But learning that was a different beast. And really learning boutique was a different beast.
That is true.
Corporate. And it was learning Alex and what Alex is okay with. And
yes, because I say it all the time and I point to the sign. It's like, because it's called Alexandra Collections. And we do it this way because this is how Alex likes it.
Yeah, and that's bottom line.
And it's her show. And I got to learn from her and another great manager who's still there, Tony.
Oh,
so that was a treat.
Tony.
That was a treat to be trained by them, because now I'm not saying it's this way or that way. It's Alex's way, and this is why. And when the girls look at me and they're perplexed, like, why? It's like, because that's how Alex likes it.
Well, and then she would also, I learned that pretty quickly, and then later on she'd be like, and I'm doing this, I know you'll probably look at me wondering why, and I looked at her, I go, Alex, I never wonder why.
No.
It's your company.
No.
Whatever you tell me goes. It's not my job to question. Right. It's my job to do.
Right. And it's still working After almost 20 years, 20 plus years, she's doing something right. There's a reason her name is on the door.
On all those doors.
On all those doors. And, you had come straight out of Victoria's Secret. We're not going to talk about that anymore.
We talked about that on a different episode. I went into the whole... I had to hit rock bottom. That's what I had to be so beat up and unliked that building it back up with you guys made it that much sweeter.
Okay. You didn't have to have that happen, but it took that. That made you appreciate the other.
Yes.
I agree.
To where, and I meant it when I told Alex if I ever had to get another job, it would be with her. I would never go anywhere.
You wouldn't have to get another job because now you are your own CEO
of
your own freaking thing, Sarah.
People pay me money. I don't want to work retail.
We applaud that. We applaud any woman's choice to choose a new way and try a new thing and be her own boss.
Well, you guys inspired me though. When you were like, you need your own show.
Because suddenly so entertaining.
Yeah.
I was like, Sarah, and I said it I know so much to you. Once you found your voice.
Which was like a week in. It wasn't that long, honestly. I really feel like I worked with Brenda, and Brenda and I just meshed so well that I was just like, all right.
Yes.
Between you, her, and Malia, I was home.
Yes. And so once you found your voice, it was on a daily thing. I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so entertaining just to watch you. Like suddenly Sarah, or just put on a camera. I said this over and over again. It's like reality TV show, put 3 cameras on Sarah. Follow her at work, follow her at home, follow her in between on her days. You got a show. There's a half hour there easily every week.
And now we have this. And I did talk for 2 hours the other day about my past and stuff.
Was it very therapeutic?
It was. It launched into a lot about my parents, which I didn't mean. So sorry, guys, that was like a lot of trauma dumping about my parents. Now we don't need to talk about it anymore.
Oh.
But
sometimes you just have to tell 3 people and then you're good. You're done.
Hopefully I told a lot more than that. I mean, if I had like 3
But if it was just mom, dad, and my brother, well, then we're moving on.
Yeah. Oh, God, if they listen. Well, but my story's not... Okay, so...
Okay.
Heather talks about how I was so quiet.
She was a little quiet.
You buried the lead. Heather was just like, yeah, I do this and that. And then we have happy hours and I find out that you were this Hollywood actress. And every time we had a happy hour, you dropped another bomb. Like, this was normal. Like, this happens to everybody. Like, no, it doesn't. You are amazing, and you have these stories that...
But also, let's think about this. Think about if you come in that first day, and hi, Sarah. My name is Heather McNair. You may not know this about me, but I used to be kind of a big deal. All of a sudden, I'm Ron Burgundy going, I was on television in the 80s. I guest starred on several top shows, and I had my own show for a while. Let me show you how to do a transfer.
It's like, I would have loved that.
No, well, except that's such a jerk move,
Well, it's not you.
No.
But... No. You are amazing. And these stories,
see why you get along?
These stories need to be shared. That you, and I mean, hand to God, my children's life, you were the most influential, important person I have met since getting better. Without you, I would not be here. And I mean that so genuinely. You believing in me was everything.
Okay.
Someone like
trying to make me cry?
No, but it's the truth. Someone like you believing in me. Someone who is so out of the stratosphere that you even thought I could be around you. Meant so much to me.
Sarah. Well, here's the deal. It took a while, but I got to meet a lot of famous people early on in my early 20s. And you know what you realize? They're people. No matter how much you have looked up to them, no matter what you think, how great their lives are, they bitch and moan and complain. And you're like, you're driving a Rolls Royce. You have everything done for you. How are you having a bad day? You live in this mansion. It was a really great education about what really matters in your life. Because in my little brain, I was like, I just have to make a certain amount of money. I just need to get, and then
I'll be happy.
I'll have success, is what I was thinking. I'll have success. And then you know what happened? There was a little bit of success, but there was also stress. Success came and stress came. So then I had to try to balance and work through that, which then that puts you on a spiritual quest, which then puts you on a growing quest, which then makes you such a more interesting person than just all about my face and where's my key light. It really does. I think that's when you really start to grow and educate. And for you and your sake, I heard you say, when I was there when you turned 40, my aunt who lived to be 90 and smoked packs of Marlboro, the red box Marlboros, daily, packs. And Joe, I remember her looking at me and I was like, Joe, I just turned 40. She's like, Heather, life begins at 40. My life began at 40. And honestly, I think that's also true.
Yeah.
For some of us. Some people get it sooner, but I didn't really know who I was or what I really believed in or how I wanted to do it until about 40. It took me that many years to get confident. Then it took another 10 years to get to 50 to where I went, I've been giving and acquiring. I want knowledge, things, shoes, purses, accessories,
Especially.
And then at 50, when I almost admitted that I was midlife.
You're going to live to 120, so you're not.
At least. Yeah. But I realized, oh, you know what? I've acquired all this. Now I better start giving. Feels better to be a giver than an acquirer, at least at this age and this stage. So I'm glad. I'm happy that worked out, Sarah. I'm glad I inspired you.
You did.
Good. Let's go.
Let's hear some of these Hollywood stories. Nobody wants to hear my boring shit. They've heard my boring shit.
Here's what I remember. I remember coming home from Thailand and you were like, Heather, you have I don't even know the initials.
IMDb.
Okay, that.
Yeah. We're at happy hour and we Google Heather. She is a fucking IMDb. She's the only one that pops up. Let me tell you, Google Sarah Strickland, a lot of fucking people come up. Heather, it was like, this is the one.
Well,
IMDb.
So funny.
She has a Wikipedia. That's when I know I've made it. If somebody makes me a Wikipedia, that to me, I was like, you've made it.
And I pay so little attention to any of that stuff, and the internet is still like a puzzle to me, that when I first saw it, when someone showed me, I was first like I was like, I can't believe this is actually up there. I can't believe this is there.
Yeah.
And then literally within 15 or 20 seconds, like, well, these are not all my credits. And actually, I did more than this. They missed a few. So that's how fast, right? You're like, oh, unbelievable. Wait, there's more.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes on in here. I did tons and tons of commercials. I went to New York. I was a model, and they literally would look at me and go, do you think you could say 5 words? And I was so, at this time, I just turned 20. I was so against the dumb blonde image. It made me so furious.
Because you're not a dumb blonde.
I wasn't. My father really stressed grades and your education, and I had to read and do all these things. Then I started going on auditions with girls on these, and maybe not anymore, but at that time, some of these girls were so gorgeous, but were reading, I'm not kidding when I tell you, like at a 3rd grade level where they hold the thing and they're like, mid. I was like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful, but you can't read? You can't speak? So once the casting directors figured out that I could talk, and even my agent was like, there's only one of you that comes around every few years. Eileen Ford, she's like, every few years I get one of you girls that can talk. I started talking pretty early, and I don't think I've stopped. So that was easy for me, and I started talking, and I did a lot of talking commercials. We didn't even have the term spokesmodel yet.
Yeah.
You were just a model that could talk. And a lot of actresses and actors at that time did not want to do commercials. They were serious actors. And I was like, well, the commercials pay really well. So I did everything. I did Maybelline. I did my favorites. And sometimes people are now sending me things. One of my very favorite Big Red, I did 2 Big Red commercials, but you're too young to know. It's like, so kiss a little longer.
No, I remember.
I was in the kissing booth at a fair, and there was a long line of boys, and we just kept kissing the one, and then the boys are getting like, because we're still kissing, and then by the end they're tearing down the little kissing booth, because we just kissed all through that. And that was in the time when Mr. Wrigley, like, they thought you had a hold. They said, we're going to book you for Big Red Chewing Gum, but Mr. Wrigley has to okay you. Mr. Wrigley approved every single person who isn't that funny, in a Big Red Chewing Gum commercial, in any chewing gum commercial with Wrigley. And later I did another one where I wasn't the main kisser. I was older. Now I'm 30. There's lightning involved. I remember being in a tent, and then, because you have to get kind of close.
Yeah.
And your breath has to be fresh. When you're camping, you know how that is.
That's always my.
Yes, I want fresh breath.
Yes, for the bears.
Commercials led me to possibly I could act, and the best advice I got was from my agent in Los Angeles. She said, look, every pretty girl and every girl who gets commercials is going to get one chance. You're going to get one chance to go in front of a producer and read for something, and you better be ready, because everybody falls flat on their face, and they expect you to. Oh, look, it's another pretty girl who just face planted and couldn't do it. So I signed up for some acting classes at the Tracy Roberts studio in Los Angeles. There were people there that I had seen on television, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the real thing. And I signed up for 8 classes. Now, this is just a fluke in nature. I took 6 before I got the opportunity. I was literally baking a cake in my kitchen, and my agent called and she goes, okay, honey, they're having a terrible time casting over there at ABC. You got to get in there. It's pilot season. And I was like, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to New York. I've got a gig. I'm going to go do a modeling job. And she was like, honey, you don't have a chance in hell, but just go ahead and try. I was like, oh. And you know me well, like that sounded like a challenge. I was fine. I was baking a cake. I was going to go to New York City. I had a paying gig.
Yeah.
I'm going to get paid to do this shoot in New York. And I went, that sounds like a challenge. She doesn't think I have a chance. Okay. So I went over there, and it was true. ABC was centered in Century City, which was actually part of the back lot of 20th Century Fox. That's why it's called Century City. And they had stacks. There were just stacks of scripts. And someone looked at me and they're like, oh, who are you? What are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. My agent sent me over. And they just kind of literally thumbed through, and they're like, here, and threw it at me. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. And it was Automan. And it was like 4 pages. And I made it to the first round, to where then they sent me to the casting director, Rachel Cole. She was so wonderful. She was so wonderful to me. And it was on the 20th Century Fox lot. So I was like, this is fun. The guard gate, you drive through. I'm like, oh, I'm on the 20th Century Fox lot with dun 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 dun. I was just having so much fun. I had a parking pass. I read for her, and she sat back and she goes, sweetie, I gotta tell you, everything you're doing is right. This is what they want. Now, I want you tomorrow to go and read Glenn Larson. There was Glenn Larson and Aaron Spelling. These were the 2 big dudes that did television. So, am I talking too much and you don't get to get a word in?
You're supposed to. I want to hear these stories. They hear me talk all the time. Please continue.
Okay, so she says, I'm going to send you over to see Glenn Larson. And I say, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm supposed to be on a plane in New York. I have a pain. Like, I'm doing a shoot. And she said, sweetie, I don't know what to tell you, but I think you've got a real shot at this. And, I said, well, let me call my agent and see how big of a problem this is going to be. And they got me out of it. And because in my heart, I was like, actually, I would so much rather be on television, like a show.
Oh, yeah.
And have to keep auditioning all the time for my next job. So the next morning I wake up, I go, I've got another pass to get on the 20th Century Fox lot. Now I'm going straight to Glenn Larson's office. There's a line out the door of blonde girls. And I immediately kind of went, well, of course.
Yeah, should have taken the
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, shoulda. Be on the plane to New York City because I've got rent and bills and things and a lifestyle to support. And I went, okay, here we go. I checked in, and immediately the woman at the desk goes, oh, Heather, one moment. And I shortcutted that line.
That had to feel so good, though.
It was a little, I was like, oh.
You're somebody.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I do have a shot. It felt a little better than being at the back
Oh,
of
yeah.
30 girls. So I got right in. Rachel's there, Glenn's there, Larry Brody, who was his wife, wrote and produced Knight Rider. They're all in there. I'm like, this, what a kick. I get to be in front of Glenn Larson. I've got my little pages. I've got 4 pages in front of me. I read for them, and they were like, okay. And right away, Glenn Larson said, he goes, were you ever a Miss America? Now that got me on my little soap opera. I got up on my soapbox and I was like, no, and I never would be, and no, and I don't understand women. Like, I understand if I needed scholarship money, but I don't understand competing about the way you look. I don't think that I was really going at it. And Rachel Farber, you could have been, but you might have been. I said, I was asked to compete in the Miss Arizona competition. I just never did. Apparently he loved Miss America.
Oh.
There were several girls on several shows that had been like, Miss Delaware, Miss Tennessee, Miss somebody. So I guess that was the question that I was probably not answering correctly.
She helped you, though. She knows
She did.
you.
She did. She was like, let's don't totally kill the opportunity, Heather. And because it was happening so fast, the next day was the reading at ABC. So now there are 5 actresses, recognizable actresses. And you have to come up with your deal. You have to sign on for 5 years, and you have to sign off and say yes to each thing. And because I had been a model, and because I know I'm a complete unknown, but I was making a lot of money, so my deal was pretty good because there was no reason for me to take that job unless you were going to pay here.
Yeah.
If they're going to tie me up on this, I'm going to need to make a little something because I'm making quite a bit on my own now.
Yeah.
So I had a great deal. Again, I walked into the ABC Sound Studio and they said, oh, Heather, you're last. And I went, perfect. Because like Jenny Lee Harrison, she had been the replacement on Three's Company.
Yeah.
Stephanie Kramer was the only brunette, and she went on to have a huge career. Everybody was recognizable, and then we had this, just for something different. And I waited, and I watched, and I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh. Because I had heard that Desi Arnaz Jr. had the lead male role, and he was actually there. And I was like, so it's not a total waste. I missed the job in New York City, but I actually get to read with Desi Arnaz Jr. Okay, so I'm back up. And they have like a batting cage order. Like, you stand here, and then you go here, and then you meet Desi, and then you go in. And I'm so green and new, I have no idea what I'm walking into. Desi's outside, and he gives me a compliment. He goes, you're holding your sides. And I say, yeah, because this is how I've seen him do it in the movies. And he was like, oof. He goes, but you know it, right? I go, oh, I've got it completely memorized. I just thought, isn't this how you do it? And right now he's like, we got one here. And then we open the door, and I'm expecting it to be like an office. It isn't. It's a theater. We're in a theater, and it's lit, and there's 2 chairs, and I can see the what am I trying to say? The theater seats. It's like, and there's people sitting in the dark, and I'm like, whoa, this is really something. And I have just enough modeling experience and not enough acting experience to be completely dangerous. Our scene takes place in a diner where we're walking in, and I am yelling at Wally. So I start walking in, and as soon as I feel my light, because I've been a model, I go at it. I'm like, Wally, ba 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 ba, and Desi does and he goes with it because he's a pro, and we do the scene, and we sit down, and somewhere in the middle is a line that makes the audience laugh. I'm hearing people laugh, and I've never worked in front of an audience before, and I'm like, that's fun. So it's just kind of cheering me on. we finish the scene. People are clapping, there's some whistling, and Desi's just a funny guy, and he looked in the dark, because you have to understand, it's all the producers, it's all the executives from ABC, it's all the bigwigs, and he went, so this is Heather McNair, and I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, in fact, I think she's the girl. I think, ba 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 ba, and ba 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 ba, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I'm so glad I didn't go to New York. And then they sent me home because what I didn't know, what was going on behind the scenes, was Donna Dixon was already signed to ABC.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah. And she had right of first refusal. And in the way they play these little games in Hollywood, she wanted to wait to the last possible minute to say no. She didn't want the part?
Yeah.
Why don't you just say that up front? Like, I don't want this. But I guess because there was money involved and they paid her and she was on a retainer. I don't know. She had until like literally noon Saturday to say no. And guess when they started filming? Monday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they were like, Heather, go home. And I went home and I got the call that I got the part. And they were like, go to Neiman Marcus and meet the stylist. And all of a sudden we're like, and she's talking about scenes, and I haven't seen the script. I have no idea what we're doing. I have 4 pages that I understand. I was like, well, I like the blue dress for that.
Yeah.
And then we go straight from that to the Fox lot, because now it's all going to be fitted to me. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All of a sudden, and I'm starting to hear stories about, no, you have a great figure. Raquel Welch took out her 2 bottom ribs so she would have a smaller waist. I was like, wait, what? What's happening? And the woman cautiously, there were no cell phones back then. The woman cautiously comes and knocks because they're pinning me all up for different outfits and says, Miss McNair, you have a message from Mr. Arnaz. And I was like, what? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I met, and I still kept that because
I hope you did.
It's scribbled. It's like, Heather, please call Desi Arnaz Jr. at home. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. With his phone number. And I was like, wow, okay. And I kept going on with the fitting. And then the phone rings, because there were not cell phones, and they came in the knock with, Miss McNair, it's Mr. Arnaz on the phone for you. I was like, well, I'm in the middle of my fitting.
He can wait.
Hello. And they told him once, about 3 minutes later, Miss McNair, it's Mr. Arnaz. He's on the phone. He really needs to talk to you. It's very urgent. I was like, oh my gosh. So this is how it began. This is how we were. It started off and I was like, do you know that I'm in my fitting? Do you understand? He goes, okay, I called you at home and I got your message, which was, I always had really funny voice messages. He goes, you're a funny girl. I gotta tell you that. And he wanted to take me out to dinner because we were gonna go with Lee Katzen, the director, and Larry Brody, one of the producers. And I was like, okay, I guess we can go to dinner. Yeah, that's fine. As long as those other people are gonna be there, because we're not just going out with you. We just started off like this, and he said, where do you live? I said, I live in Beverly Hills. He said, oh, I live in Beverly Hills. Where do you live? I said, I live on Doheny. He goes, I live off of Doheny. Well, it turns out, I live on the Poe side of Doheny. He lives up on the hillside of that. And he said, well, I'll come and pick you up. And I say, all right, but you cannot come into my apartment. You cannot. Which also took him back. It was because it was a wreck. It was a mess. I was leaving to go to New York, and I had stuff and suitcases and all these things. He took it much more like, I don't know who you think you're dealing with, but I will not let you into my room. He took it that way, and I was like, this is practical reason. You can't come in my apartment. We go to dinner. It's a Japanese restaurant. He's not eating all his food. I had been a model in Tokyo. I start eating off his plate. I don't even think about what I'm doing or who I'm doing it to.
Yeah.
And he went, you're eating off my plate. I went, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think you were eating that. He goes, I wasn't going to eat that, but that's my plate. Those are my, I was like, okay, all right.
It's one of those, okay.
Let's not do that, okay? If we're going to work together, I don't know if I can do this with you. And he was really just, I know I was throwing him on so many different levels. And he immediately said, he goes, I don't think her name should be Roxanne. I think her name, she's not a Roxanne. And right away, Larry Brothers was like, Roxanne's a sexy name. Because that song was out from Roxanne.
Yeah.
And there was a grip that no matter how long, we filmed for 7 or 8 months, every time I walked by. And I mean, every time I walked past him, he'd go, Roxanne. I'd be like, yeah. It was funny every 40th time.
He had to hit you on the right.
Yeah. Just had to be the right day, the right time. So anyway, I got the part. And my first day of filming was Monday, and it was one of the most major scenes in this. So we were always going to be a movie of the week.
Yeah.
And if it went well, it was a pilot for a potential show. So I was like, okay, great. I'm going to be on a movie of the week. This is so exciting. And I learned so much. I mean, I really didn't know anything. And they didn't know I didn't know anything. And even after the first day, I got in trouble because I didn't understand the camera setup.
Yeah.
And the wide angles. And because I had always been the star of the commercials. It was always about me. And all of a sudden I was like, I must really be doing bad. They just took the thing completely away. Now they're only on Desi. Man, I'm bad at this. I need to go back to school because this is not working out. And at the end of the day, Desi was like, you had a really good day. And I was like, no, I didn't. They kept moving the camera away. I'm only like, he went, so they do coverage first. And then they're going to cut. And then there'll be close-ups of you talking. There'll be some close-ups of me. They'll have some reactions of you. He was teaching me.
Yeah.
Who better to
Well, that's
learn
it. He
from?
literally was born into it.
Right. And that's why I always said I went to a little bit of Tracy Roberts, but my main thing was the Automan Academy of Acting. Because if Desi wasn't teaching me, it was Robert Lansing. Robert Lansing, who had just come off of doing Little Foxes with Elizabeth Taylor. You think he didn't know some stuff?
Yeah.
He knew some stuff. Gerald O'Loughlin, who had been the Police Story captain, I think he was. Jerry was super funny and so sweet, and this little Irishman, and his whole thing was always trying to make me laugh when it was my close-up.
Yeah.
He was doing everything he could to crack me up, and I would be struggling to not, and then he would pull me aside. He goes, you know why I'm doing that? You just are so much more interesting when you're struggling, when you're thinking. The lines aren't memorized. I'm trying so hard not to laugh that it's more, and so they were always teaching me. And then Chuck had this theatrical background. He'd gone to USC. He was a theater major. He's Automan. So that's how I learned. Wow. And our show was really hard. It was complicated. I didn't even realize it until I did a regular show, and you go, oh, these key lights and all the inner space and the way we had to hit our mark. I mean, you had to hit your mark exactly right, or they had to redo it because it was so complicated. They were really revolutionizing. Before there were green screens, the whole inner space on Automan's suit, it was a situation, sister. And there was a light that turned everybody's eyes red unless you were exactly, you had to be, you had to be right on your mark. But that's great training. The next time other people would come on and guest stars, we had great guests. Great guest stars. And they would struggle, and I didn't understand it because it was all I knew.
Yeah.
And then the first time I did a regular show, there was another Glenn Martian show. I got cast on a Knight Rider, and even with Kit, and even with the talking car and all the nonsense, so easy. So much easier than Automan. Yeah, there was David Hasselhoff. Here's a cute story. We're doing Knight Rider. It's before Christmas. And you know how Universal Studios has the tours?
Yeah.
And those little white trams? Mm-hmm. We filmed on location, but we also came out of the studio. He looks at me and goes, you want to have some fun? I was like, always.
Yeah.
We jump on the back of the tram. And the tour guide that's on there giving the things, and then over here is where we filmed. He goes, oh, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the back of the tram, you're going to see David Hasselhoff, the current star of Knight Rider, on the back. And all of a sudden, the whole tram is like, because he's the Hoff.
Yeah.
Knight Rider was in its second or third season. It was a show. And he was like, and I don't know who the lovely young lady is, but, we were on the show, and we just laughed our heads off. It was just a funny, fun time, because then you would also go into the commissary.
Yeah.
Everybody who's filming is in there having lunch. When I was doing Automan, I had my own parking space on the Fox lot.
Oh, my.
Had my name up and everything. Next year, didn't have it.
Hey, but for that one year,
that
it was
one
yours.
shining season. And my parking space was, Dennis Weaver was on my left. Dennis Weaver of Gunsmoke, Dennis Weaver of McLeod, Dennis Weaver, freaking Dennis Weaver. His car's parked next to mine. He was doing a show. It was like a Navy show.
McHale's Navy?
No, that's too old, but thank you. I did work with Ernest Borgnine on Earl. He was on McHale's Navy. It's 2 degrees of separation. We're doing the Kevin Bacon thing.
I love it.
He was on, it was called Emerald Point. Emerald Point was going to be the Falcon Crest or the Dynasty of the Navy Word. It was like a soap opera. Had a great cast. Also didn't make it. But it was a great great. Dolly Parton was filming Rhinestone with Sylvester Stallone. Dolly and Desi happened to have the same birthday. Shout out, because Desi's birthday is a week from today. January 19th. He'll have a birthday, and Dolly's birthday is also that day. So we went over to the Rhinestone set. This was where Sylvester Stallone and Dolly were both singers. Dolly can sing. That's all I'm going to say.
I was going to say, he can barely talk. Have you seen Tulsa King? It's not good.
But we went over there, and it was just, these were the people that I saw. When my mom and brother came to visit, and I was like, let's go to the commissary, because that's where everybody is. Danny DeVito just happened to be opening the door. And he's about as tall as, you're taller than he is. He's about this.
Crazy.
And he opens the door, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And he's like, after you. Then my mother, after you. And my brother, who's about 6'3" or 6'4", he's like, but not you. And he cut him off and went in. Like, this was just the stuff. I had said to my wardrobe girls, because The Fall Guy was a Glenn Larson show, and he was doing his cowboy episode where he had Roy Rogers, he had Peter Breck, all the dudes that were on the big, like all the old Western cowboys are doing this episode of Fall Guy. I was like, man, I love those cowboys. I love those Western. I love Big Valley. I'm at lunch, and they come up, it's like, Miss McNair, Mr. Majors is on the phone for you. I was like, oh, I know. Oh, yeah. Okay, who's pulling my leg this time? And I went over, and it turned out it really was Lee Majors. But for the first few, I was like, ha, is this you, Chuck? Is this you? Desi? Are you guys kidding? Like, who is this?
Yeah.
It actually is. And then the more he spoke, I was like, oh my gosh, it really is Lee Majors. He's like, you're a pretty little lady. I was like, oh. Because Heather Thomas was on that show. And he was like, I hear you like cowboys or cowboy. And I was like, yes. Sorry. It's like your first time. Yeah. Yes. Well, would you like to come over and meet them? And so I did, and I got to meet all those cowboys. And there's a picture of Lee Majors, me in the middle, and Roy Rogers. Roy Rogers, I was like, that one just put me way over.
Yeah.
And he started singing Happy Trails to me. Oh, if that's not a moment in your life,
yes,
you need to change something. And so there's a picture. My legs are literally wrapped around me. It looks like I'm about ready to wet my pants, because I really think I probably was. Yeah. So it's like, and there's Roy Rogers, and Lee Majors autographed it for me. I had Hasselhoff. We were doing that episode right before Christmas, and if a show goes, it's kind of on the stars to give out gifts.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think I made like a bunch of fruitcakes or something for our crew, because I thought that would be sweet. But the Hoff had these clocks made, and like a battery-driven clock with the car and him standing next to it, and then superimposed it had all the autographs on it, and that's what he gave out to the crew. And because I was working over that Christmas holiday, I had one. It was in a box, and on the Sharpie he had written, "To Heather, baby." That's right.
The Hoff.
Oh, the Hoff. And when my nephews found out, they were like, it was the same kind of thing like with you. I've been their aunt now for 10 or 12 years, and they were like, and Heather, were you really on Knight Rider? Like all of a sudden now, it doesn't matter what I've fed them, what I've made, what I've done, the Easter egg hunts with the money and the eggs, none of that. It was like, you were on Knight Rider? So I gave the clock to them.
Oh, that was so nice of you.
I mean, they really, it was a big deal for them. And still to this day, my daughters, they're not really, people are like, what do your girls think? When Chuck had such a great, he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway for like over 5,000 performances. Chuck has an amazing voice. He has an amazing Broadway career. And he would come through, because the shows would come through when we lived in Chicago, and we would go to see him. And one year, before that DVD set came out, he had some, how do I say this? Maybe they weren't legally made, but he had copies of the Automan show, and he gave me one. So I brought it home, and I was showing my daughters. Heidi was like 4, and I was like, this is mommy. She's like, no. And Lily stayed with it a little bit longer. And she's 9, and she turned and she went, Mom, did you know it was this bad when you were making it? Oh. Well, that'll keep your ego in check.
Yeah, I think
That'll
do you want to
keep
eat
you
dinner tonight?
humble. That keeps it really real. I was like, and it's really dated. It is such a different style. There were 3 networks,
Yeah.
ABC, CBS, NBC. So I always say there wasn't a whole lot of choices to watch.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just leave with this. The bulk of my fan mail, and I did, like, once you start getting fan mail, all of a sudden it's like, what is going on? This is just so crazy. The majority of my fan mail came from penitentiaries.
Hey.
Oh yeah, there was a prison following that I had. But also, in the beginning, we were opposite Magnum PI. So that it was such a strong show. But I'm guessing after a while in prison, like, unless Tom Selleck and the Ferrari does it for you, you're going to start watching
Anything, yeah.
Anything else. You have 2 other choices.
Yeah.
And I got some fan mail from penitentiaries. Kind of big.
I think that should be the feather in your cap. I mean, I really do. He called my name. That is a rapt audience. That is on
they
your
are
side.
literally.
They have no other choice.
Captured.
Yes, captured.
You capture that audience
Yep.
because there is no other place to go.
That's it. And you're giving those guys the nights of their lives when they're.
And I said, this is how green I was, Sarah. I went back to my agent. I was like, I keep getting all this fan mail from penitentiaries, and I don't really know, like, what do I say? Do I just, like, I wish you all the best. I hope it works out. And she goes, hi, what do you think they're doing with those pictures? And I said, well, they're probably putting up on this. She goes, uh-huh. And then what do you think they're doing? And I was like, oh. She goes, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to sign them. It doesn't matter what you say. And I was like, oh, thank you again for that little lesson.
Well, you were just learning.
I was just learning.
Tell your Desi story. Because you dated Desi. Don't bury that lead.
Desi and I are still really good friends. He is one of the kindest, most sincere, most honest, and brilliant. Don't leave out brilliant, because he's so smart and so sharp. We talk about, I don't know, once a month or so.
Wow.
His beautiful, beautiful wife passed.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was
Desi.
it was so sorry. And we loved Amy. I loved nothing more than going to Boulder and being between Desi and Amy. And I just felt this warm circle of love. They were just wonderful together and wonderful for each other. And every time I went there, someone else would say, oh, I remember when Desi was dating Victoria Principal. I was like, well, he never dated Victoria Principal. And I go, Des, you never did. He goes, oh, yeah. Oh, no, I did. I dated Victoria Principal. And you're like, oh, good grief. And then there was always like, who didn't you date would be a smaller thing. And I came in between his first wife and his second wife. And I said one time only, I go, I guess I was your transition girl? And he went, no, I don't like that. I don't like that phrase. I don't believe in that. Transition, no. And honestly, I was just looking for, like, I just want to have some kind of a title. Because, when you have there's a long Patty Duke, Liza Minnelli, like, there's some biggies in there. I decided that I would be the girlfriend.
Yeah, I think that
it was determined that I was the girlfriend. And then he gave me the biggest compliment of all. He was like, you know what, Heather? You know what you were? You were the funniest.
And
you were the funniest girlfriend. And I was like, dang. Okay, I'll take that from you. Because his family has a legacy.
Oh, he came from the funny lady. So that is...
Yeah. I was like, well, if I can make you laugh, then that's good. I'll be the funny one. So yeah, he still lives in Boulder. His life is much smaller now. When we were dating, and paparazzi was everywhere, people didn't have cell phones. So literally, when we went out to eat, when you went for breakfast, if you were just walking, they were going to follow you because he was Desi Arnaz Jr. Your picture was going to be in the paper. There was going to be stuff in the Enquirer or the Star or any of those. And I will tell you right now, don't believe what's in there. Because they can say, sources say. Sources say blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's based on a little bit of truth, but most of the time not. And also, why would you support something that is really kind of negative energy for the people that are involved? Why would you do that?
My mom loved tabloids.
Oh,
I
so
read
did
a
my
lot.
mom. And so did my brother.
Yeah.
And then once I started being in them, and once untruths were being printed, I was like, please stop buying these.
Yeah.
Please don't support that, because it's not really healthy. But people are going to do it. It's probably the new is the TMZ and those types of things.
Yes.
They can say whatever they want. They can speculate it. Every once in a while they get their shorts caught because someone does take them to court. It's like, that's not true and that's slanderous and you can't say that. But anyway, it was always following Desi or being part of that, his lifestyle. He was in the first boy band. He's literally playing with his friend Dean Martin's son and his other great friend Billy Henshey in, I can't remember if it's the basement or the garage, and Frank Sinatra, who happens to be at Dean Martin's house, of course he was.
Yeah.
Hears them and was like, hey, you kids, we got a little band here. And he had the greatest deal with record companies, like, let's just make a little record. Let's go in the studio and make a record. And these kids are 12. They're in middle school. I wish I could remember the girl's name. Desi's always talking about her. It's Susie somebody. And that was his girlfriend. And then all of a sudden, Dino, Desi, and Billy hit, and they're opening for the Beach Boys.
Whoa!
Yeah, it was like, that's a big deal. And they were the first, because most of the bands were already like in their 20s by the time they make it. Somehow Frank Sinatra had the vision. It was like, you know what? And there were a lot of crazy little 7th, 8th grade girls. I was too young. I was too young then.
You were an infant.
I didn't know anything about Dino, Desi, and Billy. But later, when my daughters met him, I was like, yep, it's Billy. Dino, Desi, and Billy. And if you ever, and they were like, so they were like the One Direction. I was like, yeah, they're like the grandfathers of One Direction.
The senior discount.
Yes, yes. So he just grew up in such a circle. Like, his stories are just, and that life, like they, Judy Garland is your godmother. Of course she is. Why wouldn't she be? That's just the circles that they ran in. And because of that, also, I met so many interesting people. Bob Hope, all the biggies. I met all of them, saw them. But time and time again, they weren't always the way they appear to be. You realize they're very good at keeping up appearances. Some are wonderful and smart and incredibly talented. And some of them you go, so that's not really acting. You actually are nice. Oh, you actually are not, they're just comfortable being in front of a camera being exactly how they are.
Who's the worst? Who's the worst that you just met and you were like, this person?
Well, he was struggling at the time. I did an episode of Airwolf. And Jan Michael Vincent, who I remember as the world's greatest athlete, like, he was such a cutie, and he had been in so many great films, movies of the 70s. But poor Jan Michael, at this time, was really struggling with addiction.
Oh.
And that's a hard thing to watch. It's really a hard thing to try to work with.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that show had so many stunts and things. One of the stuntmen had been killed 2 weeks earlier.
Oh my God.
The Airwolf, there's a helicopter propeller that goes this direction, and there's one that goes this way. And he got caught.
And that one.
So they were supposed to make these announcements every time. I only heard it a couple of times. And it would get worse. It started in the morning, always late, always delayed. And the drug, it just, like, by the end of the day,
He was done.
Yeah. There's cue cards.
Oh, man.
He wore the glasses, the reflective Ray-Bans. It was part of his character, but also so you couldn't see how
Stoned off his ass he was. Yeah.
It was sad. And on a Friday night, I called my agent. I said, if they don't get a stunt double for me, I'm not going back on the set. And I was not a temperamental actress. I was just my safety. There were so many things that were going wrong. That Monday, my stunt double had a horrible accident and had horrible burns. The only reason I can speak about this is because I spoke out about it in a court of law.
Oh, all
And
right.
you wonder, I always wonder, like if you watch those shows on TV, you're like, I wonder if I would have done the right thing. I wonder if I would have spoke out. I wonder if I would be hidden. My agent told me, do not, you will be blackballed. They will not. And I was like, you know what? They're not even paying for her hospital bills. She wasn't gelled. I had done just enough work to know that the precautions. She had a synthetic wig on.
That probably went up like a...
Oh, and I saw it. I saw it all singed. They had the helicopter. We were way out on location. She had to be helicoptered in. I couldn't go visit her because she was in that burn unit.
Yeah.
I couldn't send flowers, or I had to send balloons because you couldn't have certain things in there. She was in there for a long time. And I was a pretty good little witness. And my father taught me hunting things. So I was really detail oriented and I knew all these things. Of course, they lost the wig. She hadn't been gelled. She should have had fire retardant. And after my testimony, I'm proud to say, they did settle out of court because it was definitely negligence on their part. But the flip side, a couple of years went by and I was not auditioning for any of the shows at Universal Studios. And then I got a call, and it was for Murder, She Wrote. Love that show.
Yeah.
I want to see Angela Lansbury. And the cast director, she goes, oh, you're definitely going to come on the callback. So I was like, oh, okay, so maybe everybody's forgotten. And then they did not forget. I did not get to go back.
Was that the end? Like that was the end of your career?
No.
Oh.
The end of my career was I had been there 10 years. I went up for a pilot at NBC. Still only ABC, CBS, and NBC. Robert Conrad. Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
He was in the Wild Wild West. He was in Black Sheep Squadron. He was a really, really, really funny and cool guy. And they were trying to find a show that was sort of like Northern. It was a huge hit on CBS. Northern Exposure, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, up in Canada and all these quirky characters.
Yes.
Only this was taking place in like some little town in California. The scene that I was supposed to be Robert Conrad's love interest, which totally frightened me because he was old enough to be my father.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. So when we read for the network, it was NBC. Jay Leno had just been there 1 year. It was the big anniversary of Jay Leno being on The Tonight Show. And Dee Wallace, you remember her? She's the mother in E.T.
Yes,
she was
yes,
in Cujo.
yes,
You would remember Cujo.
blonde. Yes.
Dee Wallace ended up being cast in that role. And as she should have been. She was much more age appropriate and all the things. And it was like, you know what? It was just fun to go through it again and sign and be like, oh, if this goes, I'm in money.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I was told, they're going with Dee Wallace. Okay, the next morning, my phone rings, wakes me up kind of early. I remember it was before 9 o'clock. It was Brandon Tartikoff, which is probably a name that doesn't mean anything to you, but he was the head of NBC. And again, because this is my way, who's pulling my leg now?
Yeah.
Who thought this would be funny to wake me up and go, Heather, it's Brandon Tartikoff? I was like, ha ha ha, of course it is. I start naming him, and then he's like, no, this is actually Brandon Tartikoff. I saw you yesterday. and he started being real specific about the audition and all that. And I was like,
oh shit. Yeah.
Oh, it's actually Brandon Tartikoff on my phone. I just want you to know, we went with a different direction. Dee Wallace is more correct, age-wise, everything, blah, 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 blah. But I want you to keep in mind, we're going to find a place for you. We're going to find something for you. We want you. He took NBC from the bottom. And in 10 years, they had 5 top shows on NBC.
Wow.
By the time he did this. And nobody gets too much time. 10 years is a pretty good run.
Yeah.
We're going to find a place for you. We're going to blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'd be like, well, thank you so much, Mr. Tartikoff. And I hung up the phone. And I was sitting in my little place. I was going through my first divorce. Because I'm going to do. And I thought, you know what? What am I doing? What do I really want? I want to be married. I want a successful relationship. I want children. I don't know if I'm going to find that in Hollywood. People have, and they did. But for me, I was like, I don't know. And even later, this is where Desi's just always involved. He was like, nope, no, you're not leaving. No, you can't stop working. No, you don't do that. And I was like, yeah, I think I am. And I left. And that was that. I didn't need any more. I don't know. I just didn't need any more. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew what I wanted and I knew what mattered to me. And I was already struggling with, I don't see how I do this and still be still have a working relationship. I don't see how that works for me. Yeah. So I left. And later, when Desi was trying to make a big deal about it to my daughters, he was like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Nobody quit. Like, she could have been a star. She could have been a big. She could have been this. She could have been that. And they were, again, so completely not impressed because I'm their mother.
Well, that's how kids are, right? That's what I was telling Walker's drama teacher. I was like, he does not appreciate how fabulous his mother is. He really doesn't.
And the example that you're giving him and all your animation, like later when they would interview me, they're like, well, you come from a long line of actors. And I was like, no, nobody. I came from a long line of Irish aunts and mothers who were extremely expressive, who were great mimics, who were wonderful, eccentric characters. And I was like, oh, yes, I was raised with a band of vaudevillians. Circus people are my people, circus people.
Hey, those people last forever.
It is a
they
tenacity.
Can adapt to anything.
They do. And the show must go on. And, the closest thing, you had not worked there yet. I did an AARP commercial. Very proud of it. Oh, yes. I don't want to brag, but yes, it's true. It was me. I did an AARP commercial for Arizona, and I forgot the power of the visual of seeing you on television. Because now I've been at Alexander Blue 4 or 5 years, and I started hearing women would come in and be like, I've got a crazy question. And I'm thinking, what is it? The shoes, the dress, the shoe. Did I see you on TV? I was like, oh, did you see that AARP commercial? Yeah, that's me. That's right. And it happened, because it was on all the time. It was in the morning. It was on Fox. I don't even watch TV, and I saw it a couple of times. Like, it was on all the time. And what it brought back to me was, when you're on television, this isn't always true. People tend to think you must know things. Like, you are on TV. Like, why do actors get to endorse candidates and we listen to them? Are they smarter than the rest of us? Do they know things? I know California right now is going through so much bad stuff.
I know.
And I'm just trying to find out where I can donate, where it will really help.
Yes.
And so there are great actors doing good work, but just because you're in front of a camera or on a movie set does not make you more. I've met a lot more interesting people, and the majority of the really great people that I love and admire and want to be mentored by, not necessarily actors or actresses. You heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it here first, kid.
May not be first, but you heard it from me.
From the lips of an
From
angel.
a little twinklet of a television personality.
Hey, you're everything to me.
Well, that's why I'm here, Sarah.
That's it.
We want Sarah to do whatever she wants. You want every one of your girlfriends to grow and go and be the best version of themselves for yourself.
But that's because you're a good person. Not everybody feels. No, but you know, not everybody feels that way. How many women drag other people down?
Not the good ones. Not the good ones.
There are more of those than we'd like to admit.
That's right, but we ignore them.
Yes.
And we hope that they turn around and change their ways. We kill them with kindness. We try to be understanding. It isn't always easy.
Girl came into Old Town and she's like, I think my boyfriend's going to propose. And it was Brenna and I, the pregnant one.
Oh.
And we helped her pick out this beautiful dress. It was expensive. It was Show Me Your Moo Moo. And it was so nice because she came back in and she's like, he did propose. And she showed us the pictures. And I was like, this man took her to the sanctuary.
Oh my.
Had a professional photographer there. Like, and I looked at her and I go, you realize you need to marry him ASAP. Yeah. He is like, there are not men like this out there that care that much.
There are if you wait. There are. We had a wonderful woman come in Saturday. was that yesterday? Yes. Emily D and I were there. And, I don't remember where I park. I don't remember where my keys are a lot of the time. I don't remember my passwords to anything. But I remembered her, and she was like, you helped me last time. And she had her girlfriend with her. Her name is Reba. She lives in North Dakota. Her and her girlfriend, she wanted those Chanel vintage necklaces.
Yes.
And we don't carry them anymore because we're not sure that they're real Chanel buttons anymore. So we stopped carrying them.
Well, and they also were shit quality then. They were
falling apart. Which the real Chanel buttons weren't doing.
And also, they would not stand behind their product. That was not an us issue. That was a them issue, and they would not stand behind their product. So
we in Alexandra Collection stand behind our products.
That's it, Rhonda
we don't
Smith.
want you to
Get your
have
shit together. That's right. I don't work there anymore, Rhonda fucking Smith. I had to explain to many people that your shit fell apart.
Okay, she's gonna get sued. Don't sue Sarah. She's just saying it how she saw it.
How I saw it. My experience was people were upset, and I was told that the company would do nothing. These are things I was told.
And they're expensive. They're over $100.
Yes, and I think that if you have a product, you should stand behind it.
Did you just segue into the bitch?
I could, yeah. Let's all right, here we go. I love it. All right, bitching with a bitch. I'm gonna let Heather, who does not bitch a lot, I might add. So I'm
not going to participate. I'm just going to listen right now. I think that here's the thing. It's a quick, easy reaction to bitch. I certainly do it. I don't want to. I think it's like noise pollution and garbage. Isn't it so much better if we just put out something positive? Like, let me finish about Reba.
Yes, please do. Yes, I'm sorry.
Reba remembered me, and I remembered Reba. I even remembered the outfit that I put her in. She brought her girlfriend with her, Rachel. She wanted to treat her to a Chanel necklace.
Yeah.
I told her all the reasons why we don't have them. She ended up buying her a jacket. And during the course of this interaction, oh God, they're in their 80s. They look at me and they go, we're a little hungover. We had, what's the real expensive champagne? The
we don't have the money for it.
Plus, I just don't really like champagne. That's it.
Yeah.
They had that champagne on her patio. They were staying at Mountain Shadows. She's not trying to name drop. It happens that she's a Native American. And she says to me, we grew up, we had nothing but our horses and each other. Okay? See, we can do the wonderful news too.
Yes, all right.
So she wants to treat Rachel to this vacation at Mountain Shadows. She bought her a beautiful jacket. She goes, baby. She kept calling me baby. Emily and I, baby, which I love because I'm not really a baby anymore. They were hung over from drinking their champagne the night before. I was giving them bottles of water. And I thought, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
This is exactly where I want to be on a Saturday morning with Reba and Rachel, hearing their stories, finding other things that she can love and take back. And then they were on their way to the airport to pick up her daughter. And they were staying, they're having, because it's really, really cold right now. South Dakota, North Dakota, one of the
Dakotas. They're the same. If you live in the Dakotas, you're the same.
It's cold. And
there's nothing to do.
It depends. They have their horses. I know that.
I know. That is so sweet. All right. Yes, I was hoping you would do the gallop. Drew loves the gallop. It makes him so happy. He's like, Heather's just a hoot. She's just...
I was, now I say it's because I've been here so long and I can reach the high things. I also did a lot of my own sound effects.
Oh, look at that. Hey.
Yeah.
You're just Jill of all trades.
Yes.
Heather.
Yes.
Jill of all trades.
Yes, you heard it here.
But as far as the remembering and stuff, that can also bite you in the ass because I had a lovely time where I helped this older man pick out a sweater for his wife. And this older lady came in a month later wearing the same sweater. And I go, I helped your husband pick that out. You look so beautiful. And she goes, my husband's been dead for 10 years. And I pulled a hammy backpedaling. I was like, but it just looks so beautiful. Do you need some water? I'm over here if you need me. I was just like, I'm just going to go over here and die right now.
There's two things that I try to teach the young ones early on because it only has to happen once. And if it happens even once, it's too many times. Never, ever, never, no matter how obvious it is that this woman is pregnant, don't mention it. Don't say anything about it because she might not be. We had a young girl say, what are you expecting? And the woman Look, she goes, I had my baby 4 months ago. I'm like, well, there you go. There you go. Never, or never, never, never. The other one, and this one was so sweet because this girl is super sweet. And, brooches are back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, brooches are back. And she went, brooches are back. And I love your brooches. My grandmother wore lots of brooches. Now, that was a sweet compliment from a sweet young woman that works there. And immediately it was taken like, are you calling me a grandmother? Do you think I look like a grandmother? I'm pretty sure that was the voice she used too. It was like
it sounds like it.
It was like she was possessed. And this poor girl she was like, oh, but I love my grandma, but it didn't matter.
She was done. She was shut down.
It didn't matter. It's kind of like, and I don't know if this probably hasn't happened to you yet, but the first time, and they're trying to be super polite, especially if they're from the South, and they call you ma'am, and you go, oh, okay, it's official. I'm in the older category. This holiday season, I'm checking out at Target, and I had so much in my basket. They were like, you cannot go through the self-checkout, which I'm pretty good at.
Yeah.
They were like,
we're for the record, we're fucking professionals. Hello. For a living.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So they push me over, and you just have to adapt and adjust and go, okay. And it was just like that. Kristen Wiig. I was the Target man that wants to look at each thing and go, oh, that's cute. I was like, the gingerbread man? Yeah, there's a gingerbread girl too.
Yeah.
And he's looking and he's lovingly and he's wrapping. I was like, okay, it's just going to take a long time. And somewhere mid thing, he goes, so how many grandchildren do you have? Which is only funny because certainly I could, but I had my children late in life and I don't have any grandchildren. All these toys are for me. All the stuff that looks like all that candy, all the little things.
You're a good company. There's no judging here. Yeah.
All the toys are actually mine. And he got a giggle out of that. We both started laughing. It's like, I'm the biggest kid in my family. Both my daughters are more mature probably than I am.
But that's what we love about you.
Is it?
Yes. And I've thought about this a lot. This is why you're such a good person. And you... No, I have. I do. I just sit around thinking about why Heather's such a great person. I'm like, just Heather's amazing, and someday. But people that let their inner child, you foster that, and you have kept that alive, and that is that spark. Yes, you evolve.
My inner child is super healthy.
Yes, but that's such a good thing, and that's why people are so drawn to you, because think about it, childlike wonder and
curiosity.
The
older I get, I think this is so important. We have to continue to learn. You have to keep all those things alive, growing and going and learning and exploring. Keep your curiosity. Try something new. Just try it. Doesn't mean you're going to, just try it. You don't know until you try it. And I think that's why I think at each stage of my life, if you ask me, like today, this is the best stage. This is clearly the best stage I've ever been in.
Yeah, but there's more.
I hope so. But if it isn't, this has been a really great day.
Yay! High five, high five. All right, well, let's talk. I'll tell one last funny story.
Okay, do it. Because we have about 40.
That ties into being called ma'am and trying something new.
Oh, gosh.
But because this is
so hard.
This is the ma'am podcast, but Drew wanted to get scooters.
Oh.
And so I was like, ooh, I should get... I just had these visions of us on these Italian Vespas just tooting around Eckertopia. Yes, around Eckertopia. And I'm just... Your HOA rep on her vet. So I got all caught up, and he's like, all right, we're going to go to this
chicken helmets. Like matching helmets. Oh, I'm ahead of you. Sorry.
You're so ahead of me. It definitely didn't go that direction.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry.
But we go to this school, and we go around...
Scooter school?
Well, it was motorcycle school. And they tried to say they were scooter. They weren't. We're going to get into that.
Oh.
So we all had to go around to the beginning and say why we're there. So Drew and I are the only two that are like, we're getting Vespas. Everyone else is like an ex-con, getting a motorcycle. They've been riding dirty, and now they have to be legal. There was a 20-year-old Jace who wanted to ride a dirt bike. Like, I was like the only girl. I was like, this is not me, but I'm trying something new. So we get on, and 99% of the stuff, they're like, just ignore that you have a scooter. Just ignore that you have a scooter.
Gosh.
And the scooter, basically, you have handlebars, and you move it, and then you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did all right the first day. And there were the advanced class next to us, and one of those guys just ran into the staging area and took out like 3 motorcycles. And I'm like, that's really embarrassing. Glad I didn't do that. Shouldn't have said that. Because day 2, I come back and we're doing races. Like, you go, and then you come back and get in line. And I got in this line, and I realized I should have gone in the other line. And I'm such a rule follower that I'm like, shit, I better get over there to the right line.
Why?
Because there were too many people in this line, so I was trying to keep it there was so much going on.
I understand.
So I start to push my bike over, and I see Drew coming, and I kept forgetting that the handlebar was the accelerator. So in trying to push it quickly, I just rammed right into poor Jace, the dirt bike boy, who had like professional dirt bike shoes. Like, he was in it to win it. I take his ass out. Jace is down. His bike flies into Buddy, the teacher, who was not a buddy. I'm gonna add. He could be a dick.
Oh,
he was sometimes a buddy, sometimes. So he's like,
his name is Richard.
Yes, and like he was like, whoa, and like did jump over the bike, and then I just landed like a fucking princess on a pillow. Like,
you didn't break a thing, no scratches.
I had a white shirt on. I didn't have a smudge on me. I took these poor guys out. I was just like, oh.
Sarah, that sounds like your guardian angel was there.
Well, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I'm such an asshole. And then I kept getting behind Jace every time. And every time I felt the need to be like, Jace, I didn't hit you. See, Jace, it's me again. He's like, that's great, ma'am. I'm like, oh, we're going there.
Oh.
So after that, then it was just downhill. I'm like, we're doing the test, and I kept fucking up. And I'm behind Jace. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. And he's like, you wanted a scooter, remember?
That's right.
I go, Drill wants a scooter, and he won't do anything alone.
Oh.
And Jace goes, well, but at least you're doing it. My girlfriend won't even take out the trash. I go, she probably has her period. Maybe you should cut her a break. And he goes, okay, ma'am. And that was the last time we talked. And then the guy, I'm like doing it, I fuck it up, and the teacher's like, you need to do it again. I go, I never want to do this again in my life, and you're telling me right now? So I go, and they're calling people up to let them know if they passed or failed. And they're telling them like things they did wrong. So I get up there and I'm like, I know every fucking thing I did wrong. Just tell me, pass or fail. And he's like, you failed. And I was like, okay.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
I'm not sorry.
Because you don't want to drive a scooter.
I never want. They gave me a sheet too. They're like, you can come back in the next 2 weeks and spend another 2 hours here. After I'd spent 16 hours of my life, I might add, I'll never get back.
Would it have been discounted?
No. Well, yes, I guess it was included.
Oh, it was free.
It was
if
free.
you came back, you could have another shot.
Yes. And I was like, he wouldn't let it. Finally, I go, I'm going to take this so you feel better. But I have never fucking do it. I am lighting this on fire the minute I get home, and I'm saging the shit out of it and pretending like this never happened.
Me and scooters, no.
No. So, and then I read a lovely 1-star Google review about how it was not a scooter.
1 star.
It was not a scooter school. When they're telling you, do your best, and then you fail, that is not. And then they were like calling me. I was in Chicago for my birthday. They're like, let's discuss this. I think we can work something out.
Not a scooter.
So I tried something new. It didn't work out, and I got ma'am hard.
Oh.
Poor Jace.
Okay, but next time maybe the sun will come out tomorrow.
Not if my ass is on a scooter. It was. And also, I'm gonna fucking soapbox a little bit of bitching.
Okay.
I thought I'd be on a toot scooter. I was on a mini motorcycle.
No, that's not right.
And my feet couldn't I was on my tiptoes. My feet weren't flat on the ground. Like, I was like, this is
Though
not
she is strong. She is small. She is a petite
I'm
little
5'2".
Yeah.
I was like, you put me on a motorcycle. It was not good. So I'm so sorry. Jace, I hope you're well wherever you are. And now
I got your license.
Oh, that he definitely did. And then every time we hear a scooter around us now, I'm like, Jace is coming to get me, guys. This is it. Jace is gonna get his revenge.
It almost sounds like a theme song. You can hear it. Like, yeah. This is what we would do all day long when there weren't customers. This is what would happen.
You telling these stories makes me miss it. You know what I mean? Like just.
You know what it is? It's the camaraderie of women.
We
have had several women because it's supportive and it's positive and it's encouraging. There are women who don't need that job.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
But they want to be around the fun of it. They like fashion. They like helping. I guess it's more fun than volunteering somewhere. I don't know, but it is fun. It really is. When I hear, I'm starting my 11th year, Sarah, and when I started, I thought, okay, I'm going to give it my best shot. I hope I can make it 6 weeks. Then I thought, okay, I hope I can make it 6 months because I really needed a job. By this time, all that Hollywood, all that stuff had gone away. I had an affluent lifestyle. I no longer did. When you're shopping at the dollar store for food for your children, you are no longer affluent.
But your children were fed. Let's not.
There you go.
Let's not.
There
Don't down yourself. You were there.
No, I'm just
you
saying
were
that
in
was
the
a
bar. Yeah, but you adapted, and you're very adaptable, and that's why you are who you are.
See how she is? She's very encouraging.
It is.
Even when you just do a little throwaway, she's like, but you did this and you did that. And I was grateful for this job. And here we are 11 years later, and I love it.
Well, and we're grateful to them.
We are. Oh my gosh. We had so much fun. We just had our New Year, New Goal party. We had so much fun. It's such a good time.
I'm really jealous I don't get invited to these parties anymore because I'm not an employee. I don't think that's fair. You should tell them I should come back. Can I be the mascot?
Well, you know, you still get to go to any of the happy hours.
I know, we haven't had one.
It's just the holidays.
That's true.
There'll be another one. There's going to be another one.
Because I'll drive out there. I haven't seen Shanley in forever. Shanley, you need to be on here.
You do.
I'm going to text you after this and tell you Shanley.
Yep. Emma T, all of them. We have so many strong,
Jules,
beautiful love.
Beautiful.
That's my work
I felt
life.
like the ugly duckling there. I'm like, how am I in this group? But everyone is like, you were a fucking Hollywood actress.
I'm going to stop you with that because you are not. Everybody, this is one fun thing. And you were invited to this. Remember the Pure Bar?
Yes. I was out of town.
She was celebrating because our birthdays are close.
Yeah.
So I decided I want a Pure Bar class with everybody, whoever will show up. And it ended up being mostly managers and Alex.
I love that Alex went though. That's so unlike her.
Because she really, really does not like the Pure. She doesn't like anything about that. It would be like me going, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to come and I'm going to play 18 holes of golf with you. Because I have no idea how to do that. I'm pretty good at putt-putt.
But you would look adorable. I bet you have a bubble skirt you could pop.
Oh, yeah. We could dress the part.
Oh, that's it.
Sure, I've got an outfit, but I'm not going to be good at that. We had so much fun. But here's the thing, Sarah. And I've taken a lot of these classes, so I can say this. This was a premier class. I'm the only one that's done the Pure Bar classes. These other women have not. But can I tell you the level of what they were able to do and how they did it? And I even remarked once we went to the bar, after Pure Bar, get it? Bar to bar. There it is. Shh. We're so loud. Yeah, that demure thing, that's not us.
No.
I was so proud of them, and I was like, you guys are so good. And Alex immediately, she goes, we're all competitive. We have to listen. If you want to sell, you have to listen to what a customer wants. You have to listen to what they're saying. You have to listen to put them in a thing. And I even said to the instructor, I was like, does this happen? Because I said, I looked around the room. She goes, no, you guys, I would tell you that was like an advanced class.
Wow.
Yes. And that's just because I think of the level of what we do and how we work together. There is a team effort involved in this, which is fun because there again, women, helping women, camaraderie. We help men too. It's just that most of our customers are women. It's a good time. And after 11 years, I wouldn't do anything else. I couldn't do anything else. Put me in a job where I have to sit.
Well, it's also, there's so much rhetoric around, like, if job says it's like a family, it's toxic. And I feel like maybe in a corporate setting, but here, this really is like a family, like to the point where if the shit hit the fan and Alex called me tomorrow and was like, I have no option. Can you open the store? I'd be like, I'm there.
You would. That time, the last time she came in, I looked at Sarah and I said, hey, would you be 11? Could you take these bins back to the DC, our distribution? She goes, oh, absolutely, I'm there. I was totally kidding.
But I would have.
And I know you would have. And I feel like that's where everybody has everybody's back. And when someone's getting down and you're like, you go, you know what? You need to take 3 days off. Even if you can't take 3 days off, we're going to take your days so you can have some time off, because we've all gotten to that point where you go, let's take some time off. And sometimes you don't even know how much you need time off.
Until you're gone for a month in Thailand, and then you're like, I should have never come back.
But that was a fun, like, you have to have those adventures. Otherwise, what are you doing? What am I doing if I don't get to have a little fun?
Work in retail, not. And that is so funny. Alex is right. We all are competitive.
We are.
But we're not competitive with each other, which is so nice.
No.
There's not a hierarchy that way.
No. It's something about, like, I don't even know, and I didn't even realize it, but we all want to win.
Yeah.
We want to win we want to win our day, we want to win our goal, we want to win our month. And I was like, Alex, very astute observation. You've got a group of women who win, but we're not cutthroat, and we don't backstab. When that happens, not us.
Well, and we're all very honest too. I know I never sold one thing that I didn't believe in.
Because we're not on commission. Oh my gosh, this is so funny because Julie will say this all the time, and now we just laugh because we're like, that's a win, that's a wow, that's an amazing, this is this. And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And between the two of us, and then one time, Julie just stopped. She goes, we're not on commission, so we're telling the truth.
I would say that to people too. That's what...
Because I do think there's an assumption, especially in retail, because we've all gone into those boutiques or bigger stores where you go, oh, I know this doesn't look good, but you're telling me because you just want me to buy it.
And that's not our way. We were friends. We genuinely
And so many of our customers now are friends.
Yes,
Kathy was in yesterday. I told her I was going to be here. She sends her very best.
Oh, I love Kathy.
And we got into a whole thing of the positivity. And then really, I think we had like a 15 or 20 minute conversation. All of a sudden she goes, okay, I actually do want that sweater. It's outside.
I know. Her and her boyfriend, Steve and Drew, are best friends now. They go have lunch once a week. It is the sweetest thing. We replaced Drew's old shitty friend, Steve. You know who you are. With a new good Steve, who we like.
Yeah, there's a lot of wonderful women, and it's also happened, I bet it happened to you. They're walking by and you just go, hi, and they're like, I can't come in. And you're like, no, I'm just saying hi because I missed you, because I like you, because you're my friend.
That's
it. Family. And it has nothing to do, and then sometimes some of the women do just come in, and I hope I don't get there, but maybe in that 80 to 85 range, I am going to be that woman who walks in because I just want to talk to somebody.
Well, I don't think you'll ever have a shortage of people that want to talk to you.
Oh, no.
And I don't. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
And I'm younger than you, so I should...
Okay, so there's some security there.
Yes, I should hypothetically outlive you.
Okay, good.
So...
Because what I've always said is you should have friends. I have friends that are in their 80s. Like, you should have friends above in age and below in age. There should be both.
Well, because you can learn from both.
Oh, absolutely.
And it keeps you young. But you also get the pearls of wisdom, the fucking just, I was dating Desi Arnaz Jr. Oh, yeah, I met Lucille Ball. I have nothing. I have, my biggest claim to fame before this was that got invited to a Survivor watch party with somebody that was on Survivor 3rd season. I'm like, I saw Richard Grieco one time in a Blockbuster.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different story.
Oh, which one? The Martin story?
No.
Oh, which one?
Who was the Chippendale dancer?
Oh, that was Martin. Yeah, Mr. Martin Johnson.
But you called him Mr. J.
Mr. J. His stripper name was Mr. J.
There it is, Mr. J.
Yes.
Because I know, and when you told that story, Alex just happened to be in the store. She had her glasses on. She was busy doing something on her laptop. Do we get to say what Mr. J did?
Oh, do it all. I've told the whole Mr. J story already.
You already know.
They all know, yeah.
Well, anyway, she's like this, and she speaks about Mr. J. And Alex just put her glasses down. She goes, full frontal. and Sarah goes, yes, it was 19 whatever.
Yeah.
And Alex put her glasses back on and went right back to work. And then, like a second later, she goes, I don't have stories like that. And she looked at me, she goes, do you have stories like that? I got nothing. I got nothing. And I had to leave then go back to Alexandra Blue because I had no Mr. J story here. No.
We've tried to track him down, but his real name is Martin Johnson. Like there's
a lot of those.
And also that he was a stripper with the last name Johnson. Felt very appropriate.
Make your own joke there. Fill in your own joke.
Yes. Yeah. He filled in lots of things. That's what he was. On that note,
what else is there? What else is there?
I mean, getting filled up by male strippers, I think that's...
We started at one place, and look where we ended.
Well, it is me. I feel like that would be my biography. We started at one place, and look where we ended up.
Circle. She's magnificently and wonderfully... I can say this, Sarah. You're one of a kind. I've met a lot of people. There's no one like Sarah. She has a heart of gold. And there's so many. Like, again, we barely scratched the surface this morning.
Oh, yeah.
So much more.
I'm like an onion.
Oh.
Once you peel me away, I'll make you cry if you chop me up.
Oh. But like tears of deepness, there's so many layers. No, that's a good analogy. I'll go with that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to my beautiful guest, Miss Heather McNair.
Did I answer any questions? Did we?
I told you this whole thing is just us shooting the shit and being friends because people are lonely, and when they listen, they'll be like, "Oh, it's like I'm talking with friends."
You got a friend?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very Golden Girls.
Oh, I like that analogy. There's one.
Who was the slutty one? I'm Blanche. You could be Betty. You be a Betty White. Everyone loves Betty White. You're Betty White.
But I am anyway, because things are still going over my head. The teenagers are still trying to tell me what's going on. I'm like, is that what those lyrics mean? Oh.
Emily D's like, yes, they do. All right. Well, thank you to our friends for listening. I think that Heather will be back on. Let me know. If I were to have a co-host, it would be Heather. So if you would like to see her again and we'll get more stories.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. But thank you. And remember, fellows, follow me on Instagram and don't forget to make today your bitch.